Gather round, kids. Today I'm gonna explain to you some dumb internet nonsense. Something that you'll never need to know or learn about if you just log off, but is nonetheless floating around the more deranged online spaces. This won't be on the test. Any test. This is entirely useless information and will occupy valuable brain space from now until the end of your existence. You have a large but finite number of thoughts you're able to think before you die. And fair warning, you will be wasting a few of those precious neurons on this topic if you keep watching. So, what is code switching? Otherwise known as code mixing or language alteration, code switching began as a term used to describe the behavior of multilingual people when switching between two different environments that also necessitated a switch in language, which carried with it a switch in mode of thought. The first time the term was ever used was in the 1951 anthropology book, Language of the Sierra Miwok, a study of the languages of California's native tribes. It was used there to describe the common practice of those people, in the modern era, switching language mid-sentence when talking amongst people who knew both languages. Sometimes these language switches can become languages of their own, pulling from both parent languages and being partially understandable by their parent speakers, like Afrikaans or Tagalog. Code switching also refers to the practice of changing tone or dialect while changing language. A great example of this personally is my old college roommate. He was from a pretty rich family in Taiwan. When he spoke English with us, he was pretty down to earth. But when he spoke Chinese to his parents on the phone, the words and tone of voice that he used made him sound like a snobby rich kid. But most commonly in the West, code switching is used to refer to the tendency among Black Americans to switch between African American vernacular English when in a casual setting to a more formal and more white-sounding accent and word choice when in professional settings. Of course, within progressive circles, this means that when white people code switch, they're being racist. The first time this became a terminally online discourse cycle was back in 2019, when AOC code switched between the voice that she commonly uses in interviews and a very overemphasized Latin accent when saying Spanish words.
Really think about it. When someone says that it's too hard to do a green space that grows yucca instead of, I don't know, cauliflower or something, what you're doing is that you're taking a colonial approach to environmentalism.
Liberals when a white person code switches. Dude, that is seriously racist, man. What the fuck? Liberals when AOC code switches. Dude, that's totally okay. She can do it. She's Latina. Innuendo Studios is someone with a huge amount of deep lore behind him that I'll have to cover one day. Now's not the time. But he is a leftoid through and through. He said in response to this whole thing, white people code switch all the time. They dial up and down Southern accents, slang, vulgarity, working class dialects. Don't say code switching when you mean to say, why is it okay for a Latina to talk like a Latina, but not for white folks to do it as a joke? Somebody replied to him with, he's pretty much just interpreting code switching as deliberate racial parodies. That's gonna spread like wildfire now, isn't it? And he said, it's an extreme version of values-neutral governance. If it's okay for you to talk like a Latina, it should be okay for everyone to talk like a Latina. This 2019 discourse was the first time I'd ever encountered the concept of code switching, and it was pretty interesting to me, so I decided to look into it. Innuendo Studios is drawing a line between code switching and talking like a Latina, but if the rest of this video is anything to go by, yeah, it literally is just talking like a Latina in this case. Also, yes, of course, anybody can talk like a Latina, you fucking segregationist. Used in the terminally online culture warrior progressive kind of way, code switching refers to jumping between two cultural spaces or communities and adopting different codes in order to operate within them. These codes, they're kind of like masks that you can wear. They're restricted by your demographics, and adopting the wrong mask is cultural appropriation. To use the AOC example, she's a racial minority. So if we follow progressive morality, she can adopt the Latina code as part of that minority, but she can also adopt the white code, since she lives in a white-dominated culture, and in order to access white institutions and white spaces, she has to assimilate herself into whiteness. The more extreme racial activists on the left consider this to be a capitulation to white supremacy, and that these institutions should be made explicitly non-white by privileging not only non-white people, but non-white codes. This is why you often see stuff about how certain positive behaviors, like hard work or punctuality, they are white behaviors because they're white-coded, and therefore our society views them as positive only because they're white. This renders all people who actually perform these behaviors as white, regardless of their actual race.
Do you believe that you have a different relationship with the social and political systems in society based on who you are? You are a
Based on
white.
who I
I'm
am.
assuming middle class Asian American.
Did he must have misspoke, right?
White presenting, I should say.
You know what, dude? Mad props for the double down. Call him a fucking cracker, man. Fucking go for it, dude. What?
So you're a white.
I'm white presenting.
Wait.
What?
What?
A white presenting Asian.
What the heck?
Let me rephrase that.
Can you look at me right now? This is what. No.
I can simplify that for you. If that upset you.
To be white now doesn't simply mean to have those genetics. It can also mean to be white coded, even if you're black.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Which gets us into the codes themselves. Coding is progressive speak for describing a person who adopts the qualities of a demographic without actually being a member of that demographic, often with the implication that we should treat this person as if they are a member of the demographic that they're coding themselves as, even if they aren't. Of course, this concept fell flat on its face years before it was ever popularized, with popular transracial activists Shaun King and Rachel Dolezal. These people were laughed at by the right wing and decried by the left wing as weird racists back during the internet of 5 to 7 years ago. But in today's progressive terms, why wouldn't they just be black coded? Oh, I forgot, because whites can't code switch. That's racist. That British person who tried to transition to being a Korean proved that. Now, coding doesn't have to refer only to behaviors, but also to stereotypical features. In other words, coding gives progressives a way to be racist. Appealing to stereotypes before, that was just racist. For example, you wouldn't say that this Arab woman has dark skin and wavy black hair and other features that are common to her race, because if you did that, you'd be racially profiling her, you bigot. But instead, you can simply describe her features as racially coded, and hey, problem solved. This is just so ridiculous. In both cases, you'd be describing the physical features that are common to a group of people. However, when you do it, you're stereotyping and you're a racist. But when they do it, they're just describing features that are racially coded. This conversation gets especially cancerous once we start talking about fictional characters. Starfire is a common example. She's an alien with orange skin and wild, untamed orange hair. Black activists in the comic scene have been screaming for years that Starfire is black-coded, and that the more recent iterations of the character where her hair is straight have been whitewashing a black character, and therefore racist. Their argument relies almost entirely on stereotypes of what black women should look like, an argument that would make you a racist if you made it. Also, it's just factually wrong. As per her creator, Starfire was based off of Iris Chacon, a Puerto Rican model from the 1970s, who had that exact red hairstyle and orange California tan. Even some of the outfits she used in her photo shoots were partially adopted as Starfire's superhero costume. But nonetheless, the progs scream and cry about how racist it is if you deny that Starfire is black-coded. You might ask, why don't they just go for actual black characters that are commonly seen with Starfire, like Cyborg and Bumblebee? They're both heroes, they're both positive black representation for young black comic readers. Why would you fight over Starfire when there's already actual black characters? The answer is obvious. Cyborg and Bumblebee's blackness is indisputable, and therefore it's inconsequential. There's no argument to be had, no other interpretation any reasonable person could come up with. There's nothing here to go viral, no hill to die on, no virtue to signal. Nobody blinks an eye when you say that Cyborg is black-coded, because he's fucking black. But saying that Starfire is black-coded, that's how you get clicks on the internet. There are other non-human characters that progressives give the black-coded treatment to, but that conversation almost always plays out the exact same way. So let's move on to queer coding. What's queer coding? Well, it's when a platonic heterosexual friendship exists, and therefore gay people demand that they're gay. A great example of this is Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings. Frodo and Sam aren't actually gay in canon, they're simply good friends. But because their relationship is queer-coded, in the online LGBTQ community, in the gay canon, they're a couple. Authorial intent doesn't matter. They will subvert and take away your spaces after all. The argument that they commonly give for this is that in the past, to write about openly gay relationships meant that you might get thrown in jail for obscenity. There's probably some truth to that some characters would have been written to be more open about it had their authors lived in a different time. Hell, even in the 90s, though they wouldn't have been thrown in jail for it, on Deep Space Nine, Garak was censored from being bisexual by the studio, which was the writer's original intent for that character. But for Frodo and Sam? No. Tolkien was a devout Christian. Remember that whole thing with Spider-Gwen a couple months ago, where people were transvestigating her as having large hands and wide shoulders, and that haircut and the trans flag in her room meant that she had to be trans? It turns out she wasn't. She was a cis woman, just a trans ally. But everyone's favorite stalker brainlet, Quinton of Quinton Reviews, stated, "Even if she isn't canonically trans, I think it's starting to seem pretty likely that her arc in the film was written as trans-coded, and I feel that's more important." This is the common lefty media analysis take nowadays. What the actual story is doesn't matter. What the author originally intended can be ignored. What matters is the coding. What politics can we overlay onto this media in order to claim it as our cultural space? Here's the most cancerous one of all, minor coding. Yes, that is exactly how it sounds. When an of-age character has certain qualities that are coded to be underage. Anime is full of these. Short, cute women in their late teens or their 20s or even their 30s, where if you happen to mention that you like these shows online, a ton of weird culture warrior obsessed progs will burst out of the woodwork to shriek that you must be a pedophile. I remember when Elon Musk went viral for liking pictures of Death Note's Misa Amane, a character who ranges between 19 and 24. And these Twitteroids were out here saying, "I'm sorry, but if you're like 50 years old liking this, you are a pedophile." Why? Not because of Misa's actual age, but because she's minor coded. Here's another example that went viral, when during this person's list of role-playing tips for online RPs and tabletops and stuff like that, one of them was, don't lewd minor-coded characters. A minor-coded character is a character who is considered an adult, but exhibits so many childlike traits that it doesn't matter if they're an adult or not, and thus they promote pedophilia and child porn. Typical traits of a minor-coded character include 1. A childlike appearance, the 1,000-year-old dragon excuse, if you will. 2. Childlike hobbies. If they play with toys or exhibit other childlike traits, this is a red flag. 3. Their height. Any girl under 5'7" is basically a red flag for being minor-coded, since that's the common height for children. Common height for children, jeez. That's right, lads. If a girl character is under 5'7", she's minor-coded, even though the average height of a real-life woman is 5'4". This person got fucking destroyed for this ridiculous take. The idea that adults acting childish promotes pedophilia. I guess I promote pedophilia because I act childish every day. Don't clip that. Again, like the black-coded thing, there's tons of examples of this shit. They're easy enough to find online, so let's move on. Now, Dev, you might ask, we're just talking about TV shows and movies. Who cares? Well, watch the Gramsci video already. But also, more importantly, this doesn't stop at media. They actually treat real people like this. Cosplayers who are of age, short, and flat-chested have been harassed for posting pictures of themselves because their adult bodies apparently promote pedophilia. This person was demanded to provide proof that they actually had small boobs so that they could be allowed to draw artwork of their own characters who were also flat-chested. This person genuinely believes that the existence of petite people promotes pedophilia. Here's a picture of an of-age Japanese model, again, flat chest. Apparently, according to progressives, if you find her attractive, you're a pedophile. And finally, my friend V went viral with this take back during the ugly woman in video games safe horny thing, posting not even a racy picture or anything, nothing underage, nothing weird, just a random attractive woman's face. And this was called vaguely pedophilic. That's right, guys, if a woman is attractive at all, you're a pedophile now. Why? Because attraction itself is obviously minor coded. Old people are ugly, young people are hot, therefore if you're attracted to any hot person ever, you're a pedophile. This sort of thing does also happen to black people too, not just black characters, where if a black person doesn't behave according to black stereotypes, they're white-coded or they're whitewashed or something. But, I hate to say it, I guess I'm just kinda used to that level of retardation at this point. I'm used to watching progressives shit on black people for not acting black. I'm not used to the age thing though, and that brings us into the age gap discourse. Have you ever noticed how progressives freak the fuck out whenever two of-age people get into a relationship if the age gap is too large for them? This conversation went viral, and boy, it will make your head spin. I got called Jeffrey Epstein by a child because I once dared to say that it's not grooming for a 21-year-old to have sex with someone in their 30s. Sorry to say, but the dude is kind of right. That age range is very much a yellow light. Some are certainly mature enough to engage in sexual intercourse, but we have different standards. Pro tip, if you're in your 30s, don't fool with post-minors. Post-minors now, guys. That whole extended adolescence thing has gone a bit too far now, hasn't it? You've heard of those pro-pedophile leftists? Well, guess what? Meet the leftists who are so anti-pedophile that they don't want younger adults fucking other adults. People in their 20s are legal adults. If we can join the army, drink and take drugs, pay taxes and have a job, then by God, we can date people who are older. There is nothing wrong with requiring a test in order to be licensed to engage in sex. My whole point is that the post-minor age range has tons of stunted development people, especially neurodivergent people, and this protects them from older predators. So, while this is an obviously retarded moral standard, it's still not even one that they hold themselves. Hey all, I recently became the owner of a kid fur age regression chat room. It's for everyone and anyone looking for a chill space to air your little or middle space feels, marked 18 and up. If this guy believes that post-minors, people who are over 18 but still relatively young, in their 20s, that they can't consent with older adults in their 30s or more, why is he running a kink space for them? He is specifically describing kinks that stunted development people have. This guy is violating his own fucked up morality that normal people don't even adhere to. That's probably the most retarded age gap discourse that I've seen. But it's not the only one. I've seen people calling pedophile over 30-year-olds dating 22-year-olds, 45-year-olds dating 79-year-olds, Tom Cruise's age gap in the latest Mission Impossible, 61 and 41, and 19-year-olds dating 22-year-olds, yes, for real. All of these fucking people are totally cool with newly turned 18-year-olds immediately spreading their asshole on OnlyFans for less than the price of a fucking McDouble because sex work is empowering, while at the same time morphing into Chris Hansen the minute that a 23-year-old minor-coded post-minor woman-identified uterus owner goes on a date with a pedophilic 29-year-old straight white male. Anyway, that's the end of my saved-up collection of cringe on codes and code switching. Most of this stuff is people's natural puritanical tendencies bubbling back up and filtering through the progressive repression. Basically, when someone is talking about codes, they're trying to convince you of something that isn't, but looks like it is. That character's not actually black. That woman is not actually underage. That person's not actually trans. Those friends aren't actually gay. But they want society to treat those things as if they were the case. Why? For some of them, because it's good for their politics. For others, because it's good for their fetishes. And yet for others, because they're fucking insane.